Hello everyone, I'm the storyteller. And today, I'm here to help you. I know you watched this video to fall asleep, but before you start, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now sit back, relax and listen to my story. Journey in the Night. It's past midnight. I was driving alone on a remote country road, where darkness swallowed everything beyond the reach of my headlights. No stars, no moon. It was just me and the car, rolling on the rough road surface, the sound of gravel crunching under the wheels. I had been driving for hours, and fatigue began to weigh heavily on my eyelids. But I can't stop. Home is still far away. I tried not to think about how isolated I was in the middle of the night. But then, I saw it. Ahead, right on the side of the road, there was a figure standing quietly, crouching near the weeds. Its eyes reflected the light from my headlights, two strange points of light in the thick darkness. At first, I thought it was a stray dog, but no. It's too vertical. I hit the brake. My car slowed down, my heart beat faster as I realized the thing had the shape of a human being. But something isn't right. I yanked the steering wheel to avoid it, the wheels slid on the gravel, the car spun in a half-turn, headlights shining straight into the empty field. I gasped, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I look in the rearview mirror, that figure stood closer. I want to check to see if the car is damaged. But at the same time, I also want to confirm what it is. I opened the car door and stepped out. The night air was cold, carrying the smell of damp earth. There were no insect sounds, no wind, just an eerie silence. I glanced towards where I had seen the figure. It's still there. Stand motionless. But something's wrong. It's higher than before. I tried not to think too much, bent down to check the hood. The engine is fine. But every time I looked up, that figure got closer. Not moving, but one moment it was far away, the next moment it was closer. 30 yards. 20 yards. 10 yards. It comes closer every time I'm not looking. And when I looked, it stood still. I don't want to stay out here any longer. I jumped into the car and locked the door. But do locks help? I don't know. I just know that I have to get out of here. Press the gas. The car doesn't move. I looked down. The tire got stuck in a small groove. I tried to reverse the car to gain momentum, but every time I looked in the rearview mirror, it got closer. 5 meters. Then 3 meters. I turned on the headlights, and for the first time, I saw its shape more clearly. A skinny body, loose clothes, strangely bright eyes. It doesn't blink. It didn't budge. But I could see his chest rising and falling as if he was breathing rapidly. I shouted, "Hey! Do you need help?" But it didn't answer. It doesn't make any sound. I knew I had to do something. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel and pressed the accelerator harder. The wheels screeched on the ground. The car shook. I felt the car start to move a little. But then I turned around. It was standing right next to the driver's side window. Its face, pale skin, mouth slightly open, dry, cracked lips. It has no expression. It just stood there, watching me, as if studying. I can see its hands. Long, white fingers, pressed against the glass window. I screamed, jerking back towards the passenger seat. In a panic, I grabbed the iron bar to change the tire under the seat, holding it up like a weapon. But it didn't react at all. It just stood still, looking at me. I honked. A deafening echo tore through the night. And for the first time, it moved. Its head tilted to one side, as if confused. Then, it took a step back. I don't miss the opportunity. I pressed the accelerator and the car jerked backwards. That figure still stood still. I turned the steering wheel and rushed forward. This time, the wheel escaped the ditch. I speed up. In the rearview mirror, I saw it start to walk. It doesn't run. Just take each step slowly, but steadily. I accelerated even more, 20 kilometers per hour. 40 kilometers per hour. 60 kilometers per hour. In the end, I could only see it as a small black spot fading away. I drove in silence, my hands still shaking on the steering wheel. I kept checking the rearview mirror, but I couldn't see it anymore. The road gradually became more familiar, the light in the distance signaled that I was about to reach a big road. I know I escaped. But those eyes still haunt me. I try not to think about it, not to think about the way it gets closer every time I turn away. To this day, I still don't know what it is. Shadows in the rain. They say, there are some things that shouldn't be touched. There are stories that should not be told. But if you're here, you've decided to listen to it. Make sure you are in a well-lit room. And don't look in the mirror for too long. I used to live in an old apartment where everything was tinged with time. The walls were moldy, the light bulbs flickered as if they were about to go out, and the hallways were long, with no one passing by after 10 p.m. One rainy evening, while I was sitting alone in the living room, there was a knock on the door. Knock. 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 Slowly, steadily, as if someone was testing my patience. I stepped out and looked through God's eyes. Nobody. Open. Or not open. My heart beat strongly. Something's not right. I decided to go back in. But. Knock. 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 This time, the knocking was faster. Stronger. As if someone had lost patience. I took a deep breath, tremblingly opened the door. The hallway is empty. Only yellow lights flickered. Not a single person in sight. But when I turned around, I saw wet footprints on the tile floor. Footprints stretched from the door into my room. I stood motionless, chilled down my spine. How is it possible? The rain is still falling outside. But the floor is dry. So why are there footprints? That night, I couldn't sleep. The room was unusually silent. Until I jumped up. My heart seemed to stop beating. The noise came from the corner of the room, where there is a large mirror. Dim light came in from outside, and I swear, I saw something in the mirror. A black shadow. Stand right behind me. I turned around. Nothing. But when I look back in the mirror, the shadow is still there. It doesn't move. Don't blink. Just standing there. Staring at me. Empty eyes. A distorted smile appeared on his pale face. And then, it walked towards me. I screamed, throwing a pillow at the mirror. Bam! Mirror shattered. I rushed out of the room, shaking, my heart pounding. Neighbors heard the noise and knocked on the door. I opened it tremblingly. But when I looked back in the room, there is no mirror at all. Just a blank wall. But on the wall, there was a wet handprint. From that night, every night, I heard a knock on the door. No one out there. No one inside. But I know. I'm not alone. Do you believe what I tell you? If you have experienced something similar, please share in the comments. And don't forget, don't look in the mirror for too long at night. Crying in the night. I don't really trust my neighbors. But I believe what I've heard. I don't remember exactly when I first heard that cry. Just know that it keeps appearing at the same time every night, around midnight, and gradually gets bigger over time. The sound was not like a cat meowing or the wind whistling through the door. It's steady, steady, and so human. I decided to stay awake and listen one more time. That night, I turned off all the lights at around 12 midnight, sat near the window facing the empty house next door. I sat quietly, waiting. 12:30. The crying started. At first, it was small and weak, but then it grew larger. I stuck my ear to the wall. I could feel the slight vibration of the sound passing through the concrete. An uncomfortable feeling rose in my heart. That house has been abandoned for a long time. No one lives there. So who is crying? I turned off the air conditioner, trying to hear better. The crying lasted about 10 minutes, then stopped. I sat there, clutching the phone, wanting to call the police. But I don't have any proof. Who will believe me when I say I heard crying from an abandoned house in the middle of the night? I told myself, I'll check tomorrow. The next day at noon, I walked to the house next door. The facade is covered with dust, the grass grows above knee height. I tried looking through the windows, but everything was boarded up. I checked the front door handle and locked it tightly. I knocked lightly on the door. No response. The whole house seemed frozen in time. I turned around and decided to ask about an older couple living to my right. When I mentioned the empty house, the man just shook his head. We moved here 5 years ago. Since then, no one has lived in that house. The previous owner moved out and never came back. There's nothing scary, young man. I thanked them and returned home, but the feeling of insecurity still did not go away. That evening, I prepared more thoroughly. A notebook, a phone ready to record. I sit and wait. 12:20. The crying started again. This time, I pressed record immediately. I tiptoed out onto the back porch and looked toward the house. Under the dim moonlight, it remained silent, without any signs of life. I whispered. Hello. The crying fell silent. My heart seemed to stop beating. A few seconds later, it started again, as if nothing had happened. I backed away, entered the house, and locked the door tightly. I opened the recording, but the sound was too small and unclear. The next morning, I decided to call the non-emergency police line. The police officer listened politely and promised to send someone to check. Around 6 p.m., a patrol car appeared. The police officer checked around the house, knocked on the door, and shined a flashlight through the shutters. Empty, he said. It could just be some animal. If you hear it again, just call us. I nodded, but in my heart I knew clearly, it wasn't an animal. I can't let it end like that. The next night, I decided to take action. I dressed in dark clothes and gloves and left the house at midnight. I checked the window, tried to unlatch it. All locked. But when I walked around to the back, I discovered a loose board. Carefully, I lifted it up, opening a gap big enough to get in. Inside was pitch black. I turned on the flashlight, my heart pounding. The house was empty and dusty, but not completely abandoned. I see traces of someone who was once here. I continued towards the stairs, each step echoing in the silence. I opened the door on the second floor, and saw her. A woman, sitting huddled in the corner of the room, her clothes dirty, her hair hanging down covering her face. She was crying, but when she saw me, she raised her head, her eyes filled with fear. Are you okay? I asked softly. She didn't answer, just shook her head. I raised my hand, signaling that I had no bad intentions. Can I help? Can I call someone? Don't. Her voice was hoarse. Don't tell anyone. He'll find me. Him. I don't dare ask more. I don't know who she is or what she's hiding from. But I know one thing, she needs help. The next morning, I left a bag of food and water outside the fence behind the house. I never saw her come out, but the bag always disappeared the next day. A week later, the house became silent. The crying never returned. She's also no longer there. I don't know what happened to her. Did she escape, or? I still live here, but those nights still haunt me. Because I always wonder. Can she really escape? Or did someone find her first? I still remember the atmosphere that morning. The sky is clear, no wind. It's just me, the long dirt road ahead, and thoughts that have never been resolved. Have you ever jogged alone at night? That feeling, very strange. The space is so quiet that you can clearly hear your heartbeat, each breath, and the sound of your footsteps hitting the road. But what if one day, in the middle of a quiet road, you hear someone whispering your name? I had such an experience. An unforgettable night that until now, I still cannot explain. I often jog on a deserted trail where rarely anyone passes by. That night was like any other night. The air was cold, the weeds on both sides of the road were as high as my chest. Everything was completely normal, until I heard it. At first, it was just a very small whisper. A voice, unclear, but I was sure it was calling my name. My heart beats faster. I turned my head to look towards the weeds, where the sound came from, but there was nothing. At that time, I told myself maybe it was just my imagination. But then, that voice rang out again. Clearer, closer. A deep, hoarse voice, like someone was standing next to me, breathing softly into my ear. I swallowed, feeling my throat dry. Who's there? I tried to speak up, but there was no answer. Just a whisper over and over again, calling my name. I can't stand still anymore. I started running, as fast as I could. But the scary thing is, the whispering doesn't go away. It followed me closely, as if it was clinging to me. I don't know who it is. I don't know where it came from. I just know that I don't want to stop. Sweat was pouring down my forehead, my legs were starting to get tired, but I didn't dare stop. I need to escape this place. The road ahead is getting narrower and narrower, I feel like I'm being lured into a place with no way out. Suddenly, I saw light in the distance. That's the main road. I rushed forward with all my remaining strength. Only when my footsteps touched the hard asphalt did I dare to turn around. There's nothing left. No more whispers, no more feeling of being watched. There was only my heartbeat pounding in my chest. I stood there, shaking, trying to catch my breath. A car passed by, headlights flashing past me. At that moment, I realized, something had followed me all the way here. Not a voice, but a light. A small ball of light, hovering among the trees, as if it were watching me. I tried to find a reasonable explanation, maybe a drone, maybe a reflection of something. But in a remote place like this, there's nothing but me, and it. A few days later, a group of friends and I returned to that area to camp. I didn't tell them about my experience, but it seemed I wasn't the only one who felt something unusual. A friend of mine, Peter, was the first to see the light. It's still there. Hovering, still, as if it were watching us. We decided to check it out. One person in the group used a flashlight to shine on it, but it did not react. We shouted, trying to attract its attention, but it still didn't budge. And then, suddenly, it disappeared. I couldn't sleep that night. The uneasy feeling was still there, as if someone was standing right outside the tent, staring at me. As I closed my eyes, I heard it again. Chills ran down my spine. This time, I didn't run anymore. I just lay there, silently, letting it whisper in my ear. And when I opened my eyes, I saw nothing. The next morning, I left that forest, vowing never to return. But there's one thing I've always wondered, if I hadn't run in the first place, would I have seen what called my name that night? I am not someone who is easily influenced by myths. I believe in real things, things that can be explained by science. But there are moments in life when you encounter things that cannot be explained. And I met one of them. Returned from the forest. 3 friends and I, Mark, Peter and Luis, just returned from a several-day jungle trip. We had a strange night where mysterious lights kept appearing and disappearing among the trees. They all felt like they were being watched, but no one dared to say it. When we finally reached the ranger station, we were all silent. No one mentioned what they saw. We just want to leave everything behind. But little did I know, it wasn't over yet. Scene changes to an old house, camera pans across scratched walls. A week after the trip, I was home alone, renovating the old house I had just bought. This house has only one floor with a small attic. I inspected it when I first moved in, there was nothing unusual. But that day, I found something that shouldn't exist. I was removing old drywall in the hallway when suddenly, I saw a small door in the ceiling. It's not in the design. It shouldn't exist. But there it was, with a rusty metal handle. My heart was pounding. I don't remember ever seeing this door before. I reached out and touched it, the wood was rough, cold. I tried turning the handle, and it opened. The inside is not a loft like I thought. No insulation, no cobwebs or dust. There was only a dark space and a staircase. But this is the ceiling. How can there be a staircase leading down? I felt cold down my spine. A feeling of insecurity filled my mind. I raised my flashlight, shining it into the darkness. The wooden walls appeared dimly, but then I heard a whisper. It's not obvious, it's not big, but it's there. It was as if someone was talking, right under this house. I stood there dumbfounded. This cannot be real. No one can be down there. No one should be down there. Then I saw it. One hand. Skinny, pale, with unusually long fingers clutching the stairs. It didn't move, just stayed there, as if waiting for me to come closer. Or not. I don't want to know what it is. Don't want to know who, or what, is down there. I yanked the door open, slammed it shut, and bolted it so tight that nothing could get it open. I stood there, my back pressed against the wall, my chest heaving, trying to control my breathing. From that day on, I never opened that door again. I didn't tell anyone about it. But every night, when the house is dark, I have the feeling, someone is below. Wait. If you ever find a mysterious door in your house, don't open it. Don't find out where it leads. Because sometimes, there are secrets that should never be discovered. Do you believe in mysteries? Have you ever experienced anything similar? If so, leave a comment, and remember, there are things you shouldn't look too deeply into. See you in the next video, if I'm still here.